Yes, this is Rennsport, and no, you didn't get the title wrong, because I'm about to drive what is not a GT3 car. It's a Praga R1, and I'm going to be driving it at Monza, not the Nürburgring, not Spa, and not Hockenheim. Because if you weren't already aware, and if you weren't, you should have been, because we've talked about this on Traxion before, but Rennsport is not just a GT3 simulator. My job in this video is to tell you a little bit about how the Praga R1 feels. Does it feel completely different to the GT3 cars? Does it feel good? Obviously still in very early stages as well of development. But it's just exciting to actually be driving a car that isn't a GT3. Now I have done 1 or 2 laps just to get things warmed up. Obviously in terms of what you're seeing right now, it's a capture straight from the PC. It's not going to be quite as smooth as it will be for me because it's also recording through OBS. But the frame rate and stuff is working pretty well. Let's just get things warmed up here. You can possibly hear the tyre squeal underneath me in this car. It's very, very short gearing as well for Monza, so you're going to be doing a lot of changing. You might be struggling down the big straights, but there could be a number of reasons for that. The Praga R1 is not a car that was exactly designed for a track like Monza, a track as big as Monza. It's designed for the much more twisty stuff. And if you're a sim racing fan, you may be aware of this car and know all about it through the likes of Jimmy Broadbent. Obviously he's been racing one for the last few years. And I have to say, first impressions, from my personal experience, I've never driven a Praga R1, but I have driven sports Libra cars of sorts, Radicals, Spires, things like that. And this doesn't feel the same as those cars. Not necessarily in a bad way, but it is very twitchy. It doesn't feel like the aero is holding it down to the ground. It feels like you've got a lot of movement there. It's not soft, but it is very much slidey, and you can get the oversteer going very, very easily. So if I chuck it into the Parabolica or Alberto curve, get on the power nice and early, and as you can see, you can pretty much drift it all the way out. It's not going to help your lap time, but it's certainly something you can induce quite easily. And we're heading down the straight. We've obviously not got the same straight line speed as a GT3 by the end of it. Not a very powerful engine in the Praga R1. But let's hit the brakes here. So we're going to brake just before the 100 board. We're going out. I'm flipping the throttle a little bit. Sorry, yes, flipping the throttle. And you can hear there, big lock-up. So no ABS, not running any assists, and you can quite comfortably lock this thing up. If you do flip the throttle a little bit, it does help keep things stabilised, but it feels like a tricky, lightweight car like this should feel under braking. It shouldn't be an easy thing to be able to just stamp on the pedal. The lightness should help that in a sense, but it's not surprising me that this thing is quite easy to lock up. And the brake pedal is something you're going to have to work on, get comfortable with, but this thing is communicating quite well with me through the force feedback. Try and get the power early. And I'd say the most surprising element is just how much oversteer is actually present. Oh, you can see it again there. It's not hunkered down and stuck to the road like I thought it might be. And when you look at the car from the outside, there's a lot of aero bits. So it should be sticking quite well. I don't know if it should be this oversteery. It's almost like it, I mean, I can see it seems to be on slicks, but it almost feels like you're on sticky road tyres, something like, or thin tyres. It's like driving a Formula Ford almost. That's kind of how I would describe it. Obviously maxing out 7,000 RPM, 6th gear, before the last corner even. Right, I'll stop playing around and try and actually hunker down and set a slightly faster lap. So currently, what's that, high 53s predicted. But my attempted faster lap is not looking to be faster at the moment. Maybe overly aggressive driving is the way. Try and smooth it out a little bit. Now obviously the other news is that the closed beta is finally going to be brought to a limited number of people very, very soon as well. And that's great because we've obviously wanted you guys to be able to get your hands on this, and as time goes on, more and more of you will be able to sample this and give it a go. So you can make up your own mind about how it all feels. And obviously, those of us who are in Munich, or those of you who made the trip, will already know because it's open to the public here, so people can come in and try this if they're around. Definitely a lot of road feel though, bumps, curbs, no problem at all. to me it feels a bit more like RF2 than anything else, and not just because of the kind of oversteery characteristics, but just the way the force feedback's delivered. It's not the same. There's elements of other games in there as well. There's still that little bit of a race room thing that I can't quite put my finger on. But it is unique. It's definitely different to everything else. And obviously now we're driving something that's not a GT3, and you can now feel that part of this is actually a Rennsport thing, not just a car thing. But I think the car, it comes back to what I was saying about the downforce really. The car, with so many aero parts to it, and slick tyres and everything, you should really be feeling super connected to the road. You should be feeling hunkered down. The air coming over the car as you turn in at high speed should be making everything feel a bit heavier, and as I say, just really, inducing that connection. But that's not quite there yet for me. But anyway, that's just obviously my first impressions, my first genuine raw thoughts of driving this. And if you want to hear more about what's happening this weekend, more Rennsport updates, of course you want to keep an eye on the TraxionGG YouTube channel and the website, because we will have more coverage, more things coming very, very soon. And exciting news about Rennsport and also every other sim, of course. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, keep an eye on the website. But until next time, thanks for watching, keep it pinned, and have a great day.